Welcome to Seven Stones Radio.
Hey, everybody. I'm Vikram Diol, coming from Fiji, and my co-host, Lori Ross. How are you guys?
Hey, I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm living the good life.
Yeah,
right
I know.
now.
Like
I'm
in Fiji, that's kind of a dumb
but
question.
This is definitely a little bit more of the good life.
Yeah, I know. You got. I love the pictures that you're sending me in the videos. I mean, it looks like high energy all the time. I mean, it just looks so much joy and fun and sunshine. Oh my gosh, and ocean. Oh.
Yeah, lots of sunshine and oceans and sunshine and Fijian people who are probably like some of the greatest people I've ever met in my entire life.
Yes, and so we wanted to record a show while you're in Fiji, just because to kind of capture the magic there and kind of the insights that you're learning on your journey over there. But real quick, do you want to explain why you're down in Fiji?
Yeah, well, this is for people out there that don't know. This is take two because we got disconnected about 5 minutes ago.
What are you talking about? This is flowing smooth.
We'll try to make this a shorter pot. Well, it was flowing smooth until it went ding, 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 and I'm like, oh, crud. But I'm actually here. So I took a year sabbatical from life to travel the world and follow the coaching that Tony Robbins has put together, and just really immerse in the coaching, because if you really want to grow or you really want to learn, you really have to immerse yourself fully. And so an opportunity came up to come to Fiji, and I looked at some things and I said, you know what, if you can't, you must. And so I made it happen. And so now the event just finished. Yesterday was called Life and Wealth Mastery, and it talks about, learning about your health, and how your health affects your wealth.
And I know that you're learning some good stuff down there, because you're sending me lots of topics that you're interested in and kind of delivering out to our audience. And this week you really wanted to focus on limiting beliefs, well, just beliefs in general and how they create your reality, and kind of tapping into how they affect your everyday life and how it affects your whole life, your beliefs. And so I know that when I see people discount kind of like, I don't want your thoughts and prayers. And I'm like, yeah, you do. Like when somebody's actually taking the time to put you in their thought and they have a positive association with it, like, man, I'm like, I will take that any day. But how has changing your beliefs and changing your thoughts had an effect on your life, like just in the last 6 months?
So, the thing, I thought of myself as a very strong human being that was very, grounded and centered, and I knew what I wanted. I knew what I was going after. And those were all things that, yes, I still want those things. I mean, I still want the big house and the nice cars and, the travel and first class seats all over the world, or private jets. I mean, yachts. I still want all of that, but it's now different. I want those things, but I also, before I want those, I want to make sure that what I'm doing is giving back to the world. And it's actually creating fulfillment. So maybe life doesn't give you exactly what you want in the regards of financial wealth or financial riches, but it gives you what you want in the regards to actual fulfillment at the end of the day, because you can go into a village here in Fiji and see some of the biggest smiles you've ever seen in your life. And these people are living off of a couple dollars a day, but they don't miss anything. I mean, we were talking to a 60 or 70-year-old man. He said, we have Facebook now in the village and it's ruining everything. The kids aren't growing up the same way. They're different than what the even last generation was that didn't have Facebook. And I know the older people always say that, but you can see it where the kids are in the church service that we were blessed to go to. One of the kids was actually like grabbing for the mom's cell phone. And I'm like, this is no different than just being back home. But because of the access to the internet out here, because it's, 2G, 3G, 1G, no Gs, they don't have, it's not all the time. But, every time we walk into a building, we take our shoes off. We're super grounded to the world. And it's just a very respectful, joyous culture where it's still very much so about the family village unit.
Well, what
can see there.
Oh, go ahead. I know we might have a little delay too. So go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to say you could see the beliefs of the people here versus the beliefs of the people that are coming in and from all over the world. And then, you start to break down during these exercises what your real beliefs are. And I've done this now 4 or 5 times over the last year. And you kind of see the patterns that you're disrupting and breaking. And so people say, why do you keep doing these events? Why didn't you learn so much already? And I'm like, how much work does it take to deprogram or defragment, as you were saying this morning so beautifully? Like, how much work does it take for a computer to defragment its hard drive? And how often do you have to defragment it? I think it does it automatically now, or the hard drives are different. But, you're constantly defragmenting, re-implementing, rebuilding the blocks, defragmenting, re-implementing,
well, and that's
rebuilding
that's
the
nature's
blocks.
cycles too. I mean, you're hitting on the rebirth and the death. I mean, it's all this big circle that just goes round and round, and it's constant for everybody. And so, as we go into something new, the old has to die away. Otherwise, the new thing doesn't have a chance to even survive. And so then you see the growth cycle, and it matures, and then it becomes, it gets to a point where it's no longer suitable. It doesn't fit you anymore, and then it dies. And then a new rebirth happens. And I feel like when that stops happening, then ultimately it's the end. But I want to learn something new every day. That's what my grandfather always said. The day you stop learning is the day you die. And so it's even the smallest things. I love learning new things. So it's all about the cycles.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not growing, you're dying, and that's why when people retire, at retirement they lose their purpose, and they lose their will and their passion.
Yeah.
And so once that's gone, they don't have anything to live for, and that's when they actually truly get old. When they're working, they're still young.
Well, I always use the kind of the visualization of a tree falling to the ground. And so when you stop growing, you stop moving, you kind of go back to nature. You go back into the earth, which means gravity is now winning. It's taking you back. And so it's this fight between you and the earth and the gravity, no, I want to still be thriving. But the only way to do that, to send signals to the planet, is to keep thriving, keep creating, keep moving. And you're literally sending signals to the earth to not take you back. You're anti-gravity at that point. So, I don't know, something to think about. Don't let the earth take you back too soon. Because it will eventually.
I mean, you're talking from the metaphysical side. I'm just talking from the straight, what I understand side. But when you stop growing, or if you think you know it all, you truly do know it all, because that's your belief. And your belief is, if I know everything. But those people typically have a little bit more challenges. Everything's just a little bit harder for them. I know a client that we decided to kind of let go of in the real estate world, because it was so difficult to deal with him, because he just knew everything. And I was like, dude, do you sell real estate? No. So why do you tell me how to do my job? Because his belief was that he had to be the smartest person in the room. And so everything he did was to protect his identity. And so he always had to know what was going on, but everything he did was so challenging. And, he ended up listing his house with somebody else about a month ago. And guess what? His house is still on the market because he knew everything.
Right. Well, and I think you and I talked about that because if you have a certain set of beliefs or things that you live by, it literally creates your reality, and you can't argue with somebody's reality because everything's validated. Like, you can't say, well, you shouldn't do this because of this. Well, but that's not their reality because they don't believe that. And so, or they're in denial about it. There's that. That's a whole nother topic. But, you have to be as a messenger, as you and I are trying to be messengers here, but also students still, we're always students of life. What we are trying to do is attract people that are open-minded and want to hear a different way, or, have that slight opening of like, oh, maybe I'll experiment with that. Maybe I'll try with that. Because, as you and I will find out, we don't chase people. Like, if people don't want to listen to us, that's totally fine. And chasing energy is wrong energy.
Right.
We are just going to put the information out there, and the people that are already have set the intention to maybe be open to something new will find us. And so that in essence is a belief, right? And so we automatically draw to ourselves what we believe. Isn't that just fascinating? That breaks it down to science for me, and I just love that. We're just little magnets. We're big magnets, not little magnets.
Well, and what it's hard to break down a 4-day seminar in 10 minutes. And if I end up getting cut off again, I just want to say one thing you have to learn is one of my beliefs is be flexible. Having a week here with no internet when I'm in the middle of some major business and life changes is very stressful. And then I'm like, you know what? The universe is just telling me, Vikram, you got to slow down and be okay with not being okay. Like, there's other people here who have business things that are going on, and they're going through the same thing you are. And, you just got to be flexible in life, and whatever's supposed to happen is going to probably play itself out. And maybe the slowdown allows you to see things that you didn't see before when you're in a rush. And that's what's going to cause you to have a better grasp of the contract. And don't make rash decisions, make smart financial decisions. Like, I went into the world of the metaphysical for a while, where I was like, it's wrong to make money and this, that, and the other. And blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, that's like so fucking not who I am. Like, I truly know that, like, in my core, I am a person who creates a massive amount of financial security for myself and for my future family and for the people around me. Like, that's just one of my values that I believe in. And it's not because I'm arrogant or I'm materialistic. People will look at you, and it's an easy thing for people to say is, oh, they're materialistic. Like, they like nice things when they don't have it because they don't want to work for it. But that's also a value that they're placing on, and then they put the belief structure around what people with money are or not. They don't see what the people do that have what they consider a lot of money. And so they just say, oh, that person has money, they're not this type of a person, or anybody with money is like this. Like, money is the root of all evil. So these are all values and beliefs that we have to break through, and we have to say, where did these come from? And why are they in my life? And did I really create these, or did somebody put this into my head and program me as a little kid or as an adult or as a teenager? Or did society tell me this? Or who told me these values and beliefs? And do they serve me? Like, is that really who I am? And then you gotta write down your limiting beliefs, and then you gotta replace those limiting beliefs with empowering beliefs of what you really want your life to look like.
And some people don't really know that their beliefs are limiting. You know what I mean? And so there's some, there's when it's limiting when it's set, if that makes any sense. So if you have a set belief, then you're already limited. And so it's like, I was talking to a friend. He's kind of a well-known guy out here in Seattle, so I won't say his name, but he was saying how business always does you dirty. And I go,
oh, well, that's a great belief.
I know. And sure enough, he was miserable in his job. And so we're sitting down for a cup of coffee. And I said, just hear me out. Just hear me out. I said, what if that you were creating that reality? Because he hates his job right now. He just absolutely hates it. I said, what if you're responsible for that?
I don't think he would like any job that he had.
Right.
With the belief that, everybody's doing me dirty. How could you like anything?
Right.
I mean, what?
Right. So you're going to attract all of these bad things, right? Or not bad. I don't like to use bad and good, but all these unpleasant experiences, right? That are proving that belief system. And so I said, just hear me out. Just please. And it was right before he went on shift. And I was like, just try one thing for me. Change your thought about that. And so I can't remember the exact affirmation we tried, or like everything goes my way, or, things flow with ease. It was one of those things. And sure enough, that morning, one of his coworkers called off. And so they had to so he got the day off because they work as a group. And then it was another, so he got to go and have fun and go do other things that he wanted to do and still get paid for it. And then another day. So it was like 3 days in a row. And he goes, oh my God, Lori, it actually worked. And I was like, see, like, just experiment. You have nothing to lose when you experiment with a new thought system, a new belief system. It's just, you have to start with the thoughts. And sometimes you have to be neutral, because if it's a set belief, and you kind of, if you peel the walls away, then you're kind of vulnerable, and just try to be neutral at first, and then take the reins, and then go for it and then like take it to the moon or whatever. But sometimes even being neutral and just being like, I'm just going to play around with this a little bit and kind of observe. That's totally cool too, right? To just kind of see how your beliefs did really create your reality. And you catch yourself more too. I don't know about you, but I catch myself all the time when I say things that are set or, keep me stuck in a place or, I like, oh gosh, like I feel like I'm getting old or something. I was like, oh my God, don't say that. Because then my body will,
people always say, when I tell people how old I am, like we would have never thought you're that old. And I don't believe I'm that old. I believe I'm a much younger human being, and I don't feel like, people sometimes say you should act your age. I said you should go act your fucking age. Like go act like an old ass boring human being that
don't be
sits
grumpy
at a
old
chair
man
that doesn't have any energy. Yeah, like go sit at your chair. Like don't tell me to act my age. I know 80-year-old people who have, if you talk to them on the phone, you would think they're 25 years old because they have so much energy.
Yeah.
And I know 25-year-old people that you would think were 100 years old because they're practically dead. They may as well die now. And, nobody would notice the difference because it's not like they're doing anything with themselves.
Yeah.
And so it, really one of the things I take away from a lot of these events is your who you associate yourself with is what you're going to create your reality to be.
Absolutely.
And for me,
it's a program. You're programming each other.
My lesson. Yeah. Like for me, it's a lesson. Like I have the time, I have the opportunity. I'm not going to say I don't have time. I'm not going to say I don't have opportunity. I'm not going to say that it's not around me because when I look for it, it's everywhere. I mean, there's opportunities everywhere. I mean, I met a guy who's building 300 houses in, Costa Rica or Jamaica or the Bahamas or something, and he lives in Canada. And I'm like, how did you end up going from building 50 houses in Canada to 300 houses in the wherever? He said, well, my bank just called me and said, our contractor Bill, do you want to build houses there? And he's like, well, yeah. So they flew him out there, and next thing you know, he's got a contract and he's building 300 houses a year in the middle of a place he's never been to before that. So when people say there's not opportunities, they're only looking at the opportunities that are right in front of them, and that's because their belief is there's not enough opportunities. But when your belief is I have enough time, I have enough resources, I have enough energy, I'm a creator of wealth, I'm a creator of good, I am, whatever you want your incantations to be, then all of a sudden things start to change, but they're not going to change until you either sit down and look at them yourself, or you have a friend like you who reached out to your friend that said, hey, you're kind of a negative Nancy and you're not, you need to change your ways. For me, if people want help, I'll help them. But if they're just negative Nancy, I just let them go.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have negative people in my world because I just quite frankly don't have any fucking time for it.
Right. And I think, I remember when I met you when you were, you had this symbol. Didn't you used to when you had your employees, you would give them the signal for a limiting belief? Didn't you I can't remember. You used to tell me that you used to put your hand on your head and just kind of wave it up and down like, nope, that's a limiting belief. We can't think that way, which I thought was brilliant. It just kind of holds people accountable and it actually opens people's eyes, I think, because it's so automatic. We really don't realize we're doing it until the pattern stops.
And that's the thing. It's so easy to get stuck, and it's easy. Like when I leave a Tony Robbins event or any seminar that I've been to in my life, it's so easy for me to go back into my old ways because the people I'm surrounded with they didn't just have an 8-day immersion where it was talking about who programmed you.
Right.
And so you come back and you're excited and you're on fire, and I have to catch myself and be like, I'm not bringing myself down to your level. I'm a leader. Like one of my beliefs is, one of my identities is that I'm a leader. I'm a creator. I'm a force for good.
And I think a good affirmation for you is when you come back, because I know that I've had to change kind of the people, and they're constantly changing. The people around me are constantly changing as I evolve and I grow. But a good affirmation is, I am fully supported in this new life when I return to this location. And who knows, maybe this location isn't the location you're supposed to be at after you've kind of been filled up with this new energy, So I always like to do that because it's so hard to kind of come down from that high. Because there is kind of that depressed feeling like, oh man, I want to, how do I sustain this feeling of Fiji when I go back to my home or wherever? And the people I know, some of the people around me aren't supportive. So that's a good affirmation to manifest.
And it's just, every time I go to an event, I hear something new, and there's a new teacher on stage, or there's a new person in the crowd that you connect with and you talk to, and they help you. And it's my energy is my energy. And if somebody doesn't like me, they can just get out of the way.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to forge ahead. And
oh no, keep
go
going.
Ahead.
No, keep going. I know there's a little delay. Go ahead.
One of the guys I met said something that was beautiful. He said, steel's forged by pounding, not by wishing. And, leaders are forged because of the things that they've gone through, not because of I wish that it was better. I wish I was like this. I wish I had, I wish I was lucky, what they call on stage being part of the Lucky Sperm Club, where you're born into, you're born into a life where it's already set up for you. So a lot of those kids that are born into the Lucky Sperm Club don't have to work as hard. And I mean, technically,
but you know what? Like I said last show, the Lucky Sperm Club kids are the ones that are coming to me to try and get fulfillment. So,
right. Well, because at the end of the day, whether you're born into the Lucky Sperm Club or the Unlucky Sperm Club, I don't think that if you're born there's any luck or unluck, but because obviously you were the winner of millions and millions and millions of little swimmers, so you still were the winner.
Absolutely.
But it's what you do with what you have. And whether you have $1 or you have $1 million or you have $5 trillion or $1 gazillion, you are who you are, and what you do with it is all that matters at the end of the day. Because when we come to this earth, we all come in the same way, and we all leave in the same way. And it's what we do with those moments in between that define our legacies.
Yeah.
And it starts with who do you think you are and what do you think you're about? And those are the identity traits that will either allow you to make something of your life and help impact people or not. And the people that have the most fulfillment, in my opinion, are the ones that give back service to others. And the more you serve others, the more fulfillment you get out of your day-to-day living.
Well, sure. It's kids on them, and I'm doing energy work on them. And they're like, oh, I can't do, I'm so grateful for you. And I said, but I'm so grateful for you because every client that I have is teaching me something new, whether it be how to move energy differently or to do things differently or to grow. And I'm just so grateful for the connection of just giving back. But it's also, I'm receiving as well at the same time. And so it's a beautiful thing. I love it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, I mean, it's the consciousness of being conscious. Don't be a passive. There's a gentleman named Keith Cunningham who's probably one of, but his message is so fucking simple and clear, and it's so beautiful and precise. And it's, people want to become, it's hilarious. He says, so everybody wants to be this passive income. Like, I want to have passive income. I want to be rich off of passive income. I don't want to work, and I just want all this passive income. He's like, when did anybody write a book about having a passive relationship? I want to have passive sex. I'm sure some of the people out there that are listening to this are probably having a passive relationship and passive sex. And I'm pretty sure they're not really happy with it. But you can't have a fulfilled life and be passive. You got to be active in it.
Yeah.
Like, you can come to these beautiful places, but if you sit in your room and you pull the blinds and you got the AC blowing all day because you're complaining that it's hot or it's humid or it rained or it's this or it's that, there's mosquitoes outside, there's this, there's that. You're not being active in the world, and you can't win unless you're active. So you're not going to change yourself if you're not active. You're not going to make your life better if you're not active. You got to look at yourself sometimes, and it's not easy, which is why people don't do it, or they've never been taught that it's okay to look at yourself and change your beliefs. You don't have to be your parents. You don't have to be your grandparents. What worked for them might not be what's working for you, or you might be that person that is your parents or your grandparents, and you might absolutely love everything about it, but you got to look at it and say, is this who I want to be? Because this is my choice. It's the people who are not actively looking at themselves are the ones that are not able to make a choice. And those are the ones that get to 80 years old and they look back at life and they said, man, if only I would have, I could have, I should have, I wish I would have done this, I wish I would have done that, and they did it.
Well, and I want to kind of walk people what it looks like too, because there is a shift that does take place when you change your thoughts and your reality starts to change. Now, a lot of people will start and they go to these places. They'll go to Fiji, they'll go to Hawaii, they'll kind of get this high of energy. But you're really tested when you go back to these places, and you still have it. You always take it with you. But I don't know if you experience this, but I know I've experienced this where you start to change, which I did. I was involved with this big, giant volunteer group in Seattle, and they were unhealthy. And I take responsibility fully because I was unhealthy at the time too, and emotionally, spiritually, what have you, physically, and we were partying all the time. But I knew I wanted something better. So I isolated myself. I kind of detoxed from them, and I was creating vision boards with new thoughts and a new reality on there. And it was working. Like, I was seeing the fruits of my thoughts, and I got scared. And I went back many times. And I think fear played a big role, because I don't know what I was afraid to let go of, but I was afraid. I was afraid to be better.
Well, it's like being in a shitty relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's what it was.
No, I mean, really, like, if you're in a really bad relationship, you would rather be loved by somebody in a bad relationship a lot of times than alone by yourself. Because when you're alone by yourself, you don't know what's coming. At least here you have certainty of what's in front of you.
Right.
And when you change and you grow, you don't know what tomorrow looks like, because it's all new to you. And as we get older, you know, when we're kids, we love change. As we get older, we hate change. It scares us. It's a fear, because we're told as kids, like, be safe, be safe, be safe, be safe.
And I guess my advice to people is if you're feeling the fear of this new reality coming that feels uncertain, that's when the faith and the trust really have to kind of kick in, and really
right.
kind of having a support group around you is oh my gosh, it's so important. And I remember when I left this group, I had no friends, and I was like, okay, all right, universe, like, this is not cool. Like, I'm alone. And but I needed to isolate myself for a while. And then sure enough, I moved to a new town, and I have never felt so connected to a town. I mean, I have manifested some of the most amazing friends, and I'm sure that will be with me for the rest of my life, because I manifested, I believed that I was worth these better relationships, and that I was worth more. And so I'm just so proud that I was able to stick through it. But I want people to know that you might feel scared, and that's totally normal. It's totally normal to be scared. But I think you talked about accountability too.
Where you should go.
Yeah, and having people around
where you should be going to.
Well, unless it's like jumping off a cliff. I mean, as long as it's safe.
We climbed a 50-foot pole, a telephone pole, basically. We climbed a 50-foot. Obviously, we were harnessed, but we climbed a 50-foot telephone pole. We had to get to the top of it. It was, 100 degrees outside and 1,000,000% humidity. We had been cheering on 25, 30 other people before us. So, I mean, we were drained, heat, exhaustion. I mean, we haven't had this kind of heat this year in the States. And I climbed the pole, got to the top. And then at the top of the pole, there's a trapeze that's about 10 feet away from us, maybe a little bit less, but it felt about 10 or 15 feet away from you. And when you jump, it's letting go of your fears, and it's jumping to your trapeze. And the whole thing about the lesson is that when you get to the top of the pole, you're letting go of your baggage. And when you jump, you're jumping to your future. You're jumping to your mission. You're jumping to what you want in life. And, I had the most beautiful conversation with my dad a couple of weeks ago. Me and my dad, it's funny, I always, I always felt like he didn't want me to do certain things because he wanted me to be successful and safe and secure. And obviously every parent wants that. But at the same time, we had a really amazing conversation. And the conversation was about my fears around life. And when I jumped, because of our conversation, he said, son, I don't care what you do. He said, I'd take a bullet for you. You know that. He didn't say that in those words, but I know when we're younger, he always says, I would die for you before I see you in pain. And, as you get older and life changes, we're all kind of leaning for the love of one of our parents typically, or somebody close to us. And we feel we have to be a certain way in order for that person to love us. And if we deviate from that plan, then they're going to stop loving us, which is typically not true. But in our mind, that's what our belief is. That's what our identity is tied to. And so when he and I talked, I got to the top of this pole and I just closed my eyes and I'm like, I'm living my life. And, I'm going to do a little humble brag here, but there's probably 100 people that jumped and like 5 people caught the trapeze. And I knew that in my heart, I was ready to catch the trapeze and go on my own mission because of the conversation I was able to have with my dad.
Wow, that's amazing.
And if you guys want to go to my Facebook page or my Instagram page, you'll see it. But, that's what we need to do more in life is we need to let go of the limiting baggage that we carry around. And baggage is heavy, but luggage allows you to travel. Wow. And I'm with a friend out here that has a whole bunch of luggage. And I was teasing her because the bus driver, I was talking to the bus driver because as we're loading the luggage up, she's got like 3 suitcases because she was going to do like a 6-week excursion to like the hot and the cold. And so we're loading the bus up, and I asked the bus driver, I said, have you ever seen one person travel with it? He says, like, with full-blown honesty, you can see it in his eyes, and he says, no. People come here with, like, no clothes. It's Fiji. She's got, like, 3 big suitcases and a backpack. And we all just started laughing. And she said, well, the airlines call it baggage. I said, yeah, because they're stupid. I said, luggage allows you to travel with your stuff. Baggage holds you back. Yeah. And so we carry baggage around, which fucks our brains up. Sorry, I swear a lot after events.
That's okay. But it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Baggage holds us back. Yeah, baggage holds us back, but luggage also allows us to travel freely and experience with what we need. And so my goal for this podcast and everything that I'm doing now in life is let go of the baggage and carry more luggage. Yeah. Because I love luggage because it lets me put the stuff that I like in it, but I hate baggage because that shit's heavy and holds me back.
Well, we're going to wrap up today's show because I know that you got more events planned for today, and it's early. It's early there. We're 19 hours behind you here in the States, or at least I am. And so I know that I got stuff to do this evening, and you got stuff to do this morning. But I wanted to leave people with just experiment with your life. Be open to experimenting, and it's okay to be afraid and jump for the trapeze, jump for the bar. It's okay. And it's okay if you fall at first. Just get back up. So I'd like to end on that. Do you have any final words?
I I always have words, but I 100% agree with you. Whether you catch the trapeze or not, climb the pole, jump for yourself. And guess what? You're going to fall, but you're going to have us and the world to pick you back up. And like you said, Lori, if you fall, get back up. Get back up. And you can always reach out to us, especially speaking of social media or on email, because we were talking about internet earlier. But you can reach out to Vikram at Vikram, Vikram, at sevenstonesradio.com, or Lori, Lori, at sevenstonesradio.com. You can always hunt us down on Facebook as well. We are all there. But I'm so excited for you to start your new thought journey and create a new reality for yourself. So have a great week, everyone. Peace out from Seattle. Hashtag crush it. Hashtag crush it. Peace out from Fiji. I'm gonna go walk on some tidal pools.